right, perfect. Well, before we get started here, I guess first and foremost, let me thank American Sport Fishing Association for this opportunity to talk about sustainability and sustainable business practices with ASA's membership. And I'd also, before we get started, like to thank Daniel, Lisa, and Chelsea for joining today's webinar and sharing some of their insights. They are all in their brands are leading the charge for sustainability in the sport fishing industry, and I couldn't be more excited to have this conversation today. So thank you all for being here, and we will go ahead and dive in. So for those of you who have not had an opportunity to meet or you have not been on these webinars, my name is Rick Crawford. I'm the president of Emerger Strategies and also the host of the Sustainable Angler podcast. Sort of my background is that I got interest. Well, I'm a fishing nut for one, but my background is that I've got into sustainability through installing solar panels. I ended up going back to school, got an MBA in sustainable business, and I worked in renewable energy and the green building industries for a few years before I decided to marry what I'm passionate about, which is fishing and sustainability. And I launched Emerger Strategies in 2016. We're a sustainable business consultancy whose mission is to measure and improve your company's sustainability performance, all while boosting profits. To do a very quick overview of our sustainability consulting services, we offer retailer sustainability compliance. So if your company sells to Walmart, Target, or REI, I know that you're being asked to respond to CDP, Thesis, Project Gigaton, REI product impact standards. So we guide companies on that journey and help them respond and also exceed retailer expectations by actually improving their sustainability performance. We offer sustainability education and training like we're doing here today. We create toolkits, webinars, and conduct sustainability boot camps. We also help brands with sustainability assessments, planning, and reporting. So whether it's at the brand level, the product level, or the packaging level, we can help to run you through assessments, create scorecards, create plans, and report to your stakeholders. We also offer greenhouse gas accounting services. So we can measure your carbon footprint, we can set science-based targets, we can create climate action plans that can actually help you achieve your reduction goals. And then we offer waste and packaging solutions. So whether that's a waste audit, the last webinar we did was on EPR, Extended Producer Responsibility. Those laws are taking effect this year. So we also are now offering EPR packaging audits so that you can understand and estimate what your fees are going to be selling into different states for your packaging. We also offer true zero waste certification for operations. We are very proud to be quite honest. This is kind of a little bit of a dream come true to be able to marry what I'm passionate about, which is fishing and sustainability. And Mike Leonard had reached out and asked if I would be willing to help out in creating a sustainability toolkit for ASA. And it's been a real pleasure to be able to do that and provide resources for ASA members so that you can help to measure and improve your company's sustainability performance. So all of that being said, this information that I'm going to review is going to be really high level, but all of this is available on the ASA website. I think it's under the education link, and it's the sustainability toolkit. But to sort of paint a picture for, why is sustainability so important today in 2025? And the real reasons is that our global population is at 8 billion people. So we are demanding a lot from our natural resources. And there are limits and carrying capacity that our planet can handle for that. It's also understanding that just as a moon phase is connected to a flood tide, which is connected to a redfish and a fiddler crab, our businesses and the planet are also interconnected. So what we do as businesses impacts the environment. And then ultimately, it's the understanding that we're going to have to take a wider view and look at not just things from an economic perspective, but also through a social and environmental lens, if we want to continue to have a sustainable lifestyle and planet here. So sustainability is commonly defined as meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of future generations to meet their own needs. But from a business context and a business perspective, what we're talking about is what's called the triple bottom line. This is also known as people, planet, profit. And what it is that where historically a business would only be measuring their economic bottom line, now businesses are being asked to measure their social and environmental bottom lines. There's a lot more information and detail on this within the toolkit, but just at a high level overview of what we're talking about today on this webinar, when we talk about sustainability and sustainable business, this is the lens that we're looking at it through, is the social, environmental, and economic bottom lines. And as it turns out, there are very real drivers for sustainability, right? So we covered the risk mitigation part of this just a moment ago when we talk about, hey, we have a growing global population and finite resources. And so what we're starting to see and realize through studies is that there has been I think it's a 70% decline in biodiversity. Nature is in decline as we demand more and more natural resources, and the effects of climate change are happening in real time. We're also seeing, so that would be, a reason for sustainable business practices. Another main driver that we're seeing is the rise of sustainability-related regulations. I mentioned EPR for packaging. I think you could probably go on the ASA YouTube channel and find that webinar if you want to get up to speed on that. But it's extended producer responsibility for packaging. That's a major driver for more sustainable packaging. There's also the SEC is regulating Scope 1 and 2 greenhouse gas emissions for publicly traded companies. And California has started, depending on the size of your company, starting to regulate Scopes 1, 2, and 3 emissions. And then increasingly, we're starting to see the regulation of PFAS and retailers also not wanting to have PFAS in their products that they're selling. Which leads us to retailers, right? This is a huge driver for a lot of brands. Walmart is Target, REI, even Lowe's Home Improvement, Dick's Sporting Goods. Basically every major big box retailer out there today is asking for some level of sustainability requirements. Many of them are asking for greenhouse gas emissions, impact on nature. They want the brands that are selling products into their stores to help them as retailers achieve their own sustainability goals. And then finally, well, not finally, we've got a couple more, but increasingly consumers are demanding more sustainable products. They want to support brands that align with their values, and employees. People want to work for companies that align with their values. So all of that is to say, the good news is as we talk about some of the stuff from an environmental side, is that there is a very, very real business case for sustainability. And that's going to be the subject of today's webinar. But just as a quick run through on a high level, a reason to adopt sustainable business practices and to focus on measuring and improving your sustainability performance is that you can reduce costs, you can increase brand loyalty, you can enhance your reputation, you can use it to drive innovation, attract and retain talent, and mitigate those environmental risks we previously mentioned. So, To put a fine point on this before we get into the actual panel discussion, there are links to all of these tax incentives and rebates for sustainability in the sustainability toolkit. This is a way to further improve the ROI on your sustainability investments. There are a ton of good rebates and tax incentives for energy efficiency, electric vehicles, renewable energy, and businesses, particularly if you own buildings or vehicles. These are things that you are going to want to explore because they can really help to get you a better payback period. So with that being said, we are finally ready to dive in here. Today, the topic of the webinar is the business case for sustainability. We have Chelsea Willingham from AFTCO, Lisa VanBladeren from YETI, and Daniel Nussbaum from Z-Man Fishing. And I don't know if I should stop sharing the screen or just keep this up so we can see people who are talking maybe. I don't know if anyone has any insight into that, or if I should just keep the screen up and roll.
Either way is fine, Rick.
Okay. All right. Well, why don't we do this? Before I obviously did a very high level overview, but Chelsea, if you wouldn't mind kicking us off and just provide a little bit more bit of an introduction for yourself, and we'll do the same for Lisa and Daniel before we dive in.
For having me. I'm Chelsea. I've been with AFTCO for a little over 4 years now. I started out in product development, but my background is more in apparel design, and I have a master's in sustainable apparel design. And so it was a natural move for me to kind of move into this sustainability role once AFTCO started prioritizing that.
Cool. And Lisa.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. Thanks for having me, Rick. I lead sustainability, responsible sourcing, and packaging at YETI. I've been with YETI just over 2.5 years, and my background is in biology and chemistry. I've spent most of my professional life following college and a master's degree in environmental engineering in corporate sustainability. So at Apple, home appliance sector, Whirlpool, Peloton, and now here at YETI. So looking forward to the conversation.
Thanks, Lisa. And Daniel.
Hi, I'm Daniel, and I think I recognize a lot of names on the call, a lot of familiar names and faces, so it's nice to see everybody. Unlike Chelsea and Lisa, I do not have any real background in sustainability, but I'm the president at Z-Man Fishing Products. We're a fishing lure manufacturer based in South Carolina, and can probably provide a little bit of a different perspective. I've been here in this role for a little bit over 16 years now, and kind of like Rick, and able to marry something that I'm passionate about in fishing with another passion of mine, which is business and dealing with people and wearing a lot of different hats. So thanks, Rick.
Absolutely. Well, let's get things kicked off here, and I'm curious to know, Chelsea, we'll start with you, and I'll mix this up so we're not going in the same line every time. But we'll get things kicked off here, Chelsea. For AFTCO, I know that y'all have a sustainability program that you're a part of, and y'all are doing great things. But was there maybe one specific or a couple of drivers that really motivated y'all to start looking more deeply into sustainability as a brand?
Definitely. PFAS regulations and Prop 65 were huge drivers for us. Truthfully, we didn't really understand what was in our products up until this point. And the regulations kind of forced us to implement an RSL, restricted substance list, and a testing protocol, which gave us a little more insight into our supply chain. And conservation and our 10% pledge, as most of you know, has been a huge theme for us, and our customers have always been passionate about it. And so we never really looked internally, though. So it was really a natural next step for us to start focusing on that.
Love it. So regulations played a role that sort of opened y'all's eyes to some of the things in your supply chain. And I also, by the way, I want to take this opportunity to let everyone on the call on a little secret. There is no such thing as a sustainable product or sustainable packaging. There is only more sustainable. So this is a really key point that I think that out there to make as we sort of have this conversation, or if you're listening and you're thinking about, hey, maybe we should adopt sustainability. It's the same thing as a person trying to become the best version of themselves. It's about a brand trying to do better. And that's what what we see working with the brands that we do. So, Lisa, same question for YETI. Different context probably for y'all, but I do want to ask the same question. What were some of the drivers for y'all to really embrace sustainability?
Yeah, I love this question because, like Chelsea said, it really makes us look inward. So I appreciate starting here, but I wouldn't say that like one day we started to adopt, sustainable business practices. We're a brand, hopefully all of you are aware, but we're a brand born really from frustration for non-durable, like non-long lasting coolers that were truly an annoyance while the Cedars brothers were fishing. And so, like Rick mentioned from the beginning, sustainability is truly like a lens, just like all of the other traditional lenses, right? That we look through when making decisions across our business. And so centralizing and formalizing our sustainability strategy was important, really to help us focus those efforts on the things that truly matter most to us as a brand and as a business. But also to help us track and report progress over time to make sure we're working on the right things and we're making the progress that we're committed to. And there's factors, like you mentioned, Rick and Chelsea, both like regulations and retailer requirements that really help us prioritize our efforts and kind of push us, I would say, to accelerate work in some places or to pivot a bit into things that we're being pressured to focus on more, right? So those priorities shift a bit because of those external factors. But those same factors sometimes can also provide constraints that make it a little bit harder for us to move at a pace that we want to, or focus on things that are truly material to us as a business, as a brand. But at the end of the day, as YETI, like we're really priding ourselves on making badass, like durable, high quality gear that gets all of you out doing the passions and pursuits that you love in the places that you love. And so it's inherent that we try to protect those places. And we're also, we're a company that's made of people that want to be outside. So when we're not making those durable goods, we ourselves want to be pursuing our own passions. And so it's something that's top of mind for all of us here as well.
Yeah, and Lisa, I think you bring up a good point too, is that you're having to sustainability, the rules change pretty frequently and the priorities change frequently, right? So it's kind of hard if you're new to this to try and stay ahead, but it is. I think that's probably a good way to look at it. It seems like you're real customer focused. Like, hey, what is my retailer customer asking me for, and how can we do better? And that's probably a good way to guide. And I'll mention this in case there are any retailers on this call. If you're wondering, like, how do I fit into this conversation? If you just Google REI product impact standards, you can pull up their standards to kind of see what are some other retailers, like an outdoor retailer, is asking brands to do. And it's probably a good thing to take a look at, to be like, hey, do we have anything like this or program like this at our own store? So I love that that's a customer focused way of prioritizing sustainability, it sounds like.
Yeah, our mantra is keep the wild wild. And like, of course, I'm totally biased here. And what that means to every person is like so personal. I think it's safe to say this group, it means like fishing in some capacity, right? But keep it wild wild is something that really grounds us. And so like I said, I'm biased, but I love that mantra. So I would encourage everyone to kind of identify that for themselves, and that would kind of be your North Star and guiding place.
I love it. All right, and Daniel, same question. Has there been a particular driver or drivers for Z-Man that has gotten you all on your sustainability journey, which I know just from our relationship is 30 plus years probably goes back, but I'm curious to get your thoughts there as well.
Yeah, so Rick, we've never actually been driven by any kind of regulations or customer requirements or anything like that. I mean, sure, we have Prop 65, issues that come up, mainly, labeling. It's just, a labeling issue for us. And, we sell to Walmart, but none of their requirements have really trickled down to us at this point, or at least none of our products have been implicated yet. But I guess, sustainability is really in our company's DNA and in our parent company's DNA. We're owned by a family here in the Charleston area, and their mission is Tikkun Olam, which is a Hebrew phrase that means repair the world. Repair the world, I mean, it can be seen in a lot of senses. I mean, help cure poverty or hunger, and promote education, but also helping the environment. And that's really part of the background of Z-Man. It's actually pretty similar to what Lisa just said about YETI. Our company's been around for about 30 years, but really what's driven our growth and driven the investment by our ownership group is the development of our ElasTech soft plastic technology, which ElasTech is a thermoplastic elastomer, or a TPE. And it's one of their motivating factors for investing in advancing that technology in fishing is it is by its very nature a more sustainable product. It's very durable, so fish can't tear it up. A bait lasts longer. It results in less soft plastic, waste in the water. Fishermen or anglers using, less soft plastic baits. Fewer baits are ingested by fish. The material floats, so it doesn't litter the bottom of lakes and waterways. It's 100% non-toxic. So, our product line, and that accounts for about 50% of our product line and most of our domestic manufacturing here. So, I'd say that, ultimately, focusing on sustainability for us was, wanting to do the right thing. It's something that's important to, our ownership group. It's something that's important to me personally.
Yeah, I love that. I know that's having those non-toxic lures has been a huge driver, and I also love y'all's mantra, heal the earth. And I think that is such a powerful way to look at business, is really a tool to solve social and environmental problems. And it sounds like that's what Z-Man has been doing for over 30 years. So kudos there. All right, so let's mix it up. We're gonna start in the middle now. Lisa, how about how has YETI, which is the meat and potatoes of our conversation today, how is YETI making the business case for sustainability? We sort of made sort of this list earlier, but just as a quick refresher: cost savings, enhanced reputation, attracting and retaining talent, these kind of things, right? How is YETI able to do that?
This is like the $1 million question. Spoiler alert, there's no silver bullet here. I don't have any. But I think if we go back to where you started, which is like at its core, sustainability, at least thinking from the environmental side to start, right? Very simplified, is really doing more with less, right? Like maximizing the value for as long as you possibly can while minimizing your impact on our precious planet, right? And if you think about it from a business lens, like that makes sense too. So that shows up in many different ways for us. It shows up as innovation. It shows up as durability. It shows up in like configurations across our portfolio. So if you think of our drinkware line, we have many lids, that can fit across various vessel formats, right? And so truly that is also a sustainability principle. And like efficiencies and waste reductions that truly result in cost savings. So most of the time it's our job on like the sustainability team, or those of us that have sustainability titles, right, to translate those benefits, like whatever the benefit may be for that initiative, into the dialect of our audiences, right? And that's where I think like it's challenging. It's whoever you're talking to, in Daniel's case, the CEO or a marketing colleague, right? What makes them tick and what their priorities are, and the language they speak is very different. So we have to translate the business case for sustainability into the language that they're speaking, so it becomes really clear for them, and the benefits are, you know, crystal clear. And that's not always easy. That's like the hardest part, I would say, of my job. But when we're successful, like, it's a massive unlock, because then folks start to make those connections themselves, right, in their own individual roles. So one example, and you talked a lot about packaging in your intro too, that's the example I was going to share from our side, is like, we're really proud of the fact that from like tiny shot glasses to Camino bags to like Tundra 350s, which, if you're not familiar, that's a cooler that's like the size of a boat. We don't use foam in any of our packaging. And that's something like, that's honestly, if you're familiar with the, you know, constraints of moving those Tundra 350s around the world, like that's something that we're really proud of. And so pushing our packaging in terms of innovation and materials to use recycled content, to minimize our plastics, to incorporate FSC, so forest stewardship certified materials. That's something that we're really advancing, and that's a business case that, you know, everyone's bought into. And it's not just a win from a sustainability standpoint, and that's what I want to focus on, is like, it's a triple win in the case that these materials happen to work really well for our brand. They match our aesthetic, they look and feel like YETI. And they also, we talked about EPR, but like those fees that we pay with respect to packaging, they come down when you're using more preferred materials in some cases. And so we really see it being like a win-win-win, and a place that we're going to continue to lean in and progress. And then I want to touch a bit, because I think sometimes it's overlooked, but on the social side, the environmental and the social side are very connected in our worlds, but from social sustainability lens, like, it really means ensuring that the people are taken care of across our value chain and our growing supply chain in the communities where we work. So it's not just our employees, but it's also the people that are making our coolers and our cups and our products, right? We want to make sure they're respected and safe and treated fairly. And that's also a value add to the business, because it drives resiliency, it drives and mitigates risk across our supply chain. So I think, you know, I covered a lot of ground there, but holistically, like, there's always a reason why sustainability decisions can make sense for your business. It's just really honing in on what that means for that individual project.
Yep. Yeah, I like that. And just as an added bonus too, with, you know, I think with YETI products, when you have, and same thing with Z-Man and AFTCO, all of y'all have different components of your products that actually are helping your customer live a more sustainable lifestyle. So whether it's with recycled material in your clothing, or reusable water bottles, you know, these are examples of, in addition to that, you're actually helping your customer live more healthier and sustainable lifestyles, which is cool. So Chelsea, I'm gonna ask you the same question here. How is AFTCO helping to make the business case for sustainability?
Also love this question. I feel like Lisa did an amazing job, and what more can I add? But I'll try to add something to it. It's definitely helped attract and retain talent. As a family-owned business, the sheds really prioritize taking care of their employees, and they've made it a point to have employees involved in things like beach cleanup days. And we also have implemented a once a year sustainability lunch, where we do games and try to get everyone involved in recycling and making sure people understand how to recycle in the proper bin and that type of thing. And it's really been exciting to see everyone get involved and invested in sustainability. And additionally, it's helped us mitigate legal risks. Switching to C0 DWR, you know, was a requirement that we had to do for California, but we decided to go ahead and eliminate it altogether, because once we learned about it, we felt like it was just the right thing to do. It was the right thing to do for our environment. It was the right thing to do for the health of our customers. And yeah, that was also, I feel like, a good business case for eliminating chemicals in our supply chain. And like Lisa touched on, it also helps with the people that are making our products. the sheds also really care about making sure everyone that is touching our products is taken care of. So that was also a priority.
Love it. And yeah, I think that's a great point too, that something that is potentially overlooked when we talk about sustainability is employee engagement and also community impact and where you're operating. And those are huge drivers to keep employees engaged and happy and making them feel like they are part of the solution. So I really love that, and I appreciate you bringing that up. Um, Daniel, same question. How is Z-Man making the business case for sustainability?
Yep. Same question, but a pretty different answer, Rick, because our business is pretty different in that, we're manufacturing here in South Carolina, right? We've got about, 50 feet this way behind a couple of walls. We've got an injection molding operation where we're compounding material and mixing in colors and glitter and extruding material. And we've got big injection molding presses that are, molding, soft plastic baits, really tens of millions of baits a year. And so, we, naturally, I mean, we're using a lot of power and we're generating a lot of waste, right? Like most manufacturing operations. I mean, our machines are, hydraulic presses and extruders with, electric motors. I mean, I can even right now, I can kind of hear the machines running, through the walls. So it was pretty easy for us to kind of focus on where we could make the most impact. And there's really two things that we've done that have, in the end, represented some pretty huge cost savings for us. The first, and this is something that you obviously have a lot of background in, Rick, and were helpful in steering us towards, is solar power. Going back about 5 years, our power bills at the time were, pushing 10 grand a month running our machines, and we've, ramped up a bit since then. I mean, we're running 2 shifts, running, 16 hours, 17 hours a day in our plant right now. So we're using a lot of power. And we went through the full exercise and took a look at, what the cost of solar panels, a solar array, it covers about 50,000 square feet on the roof of the building, probably. Looked at tax incentives and, rebates and different credits we could get. And we ran the numbers, and it was about a 6-year payback, which, from a business standpoint, if I'm investing in new machinery, I want to see a 2 or 3 year payback, right? But, because sustainability is something that was important to us, that was something that we felt pretty strongly about. So we made that investment. In another year, it'll essentially be paid off. And then we will actually be saving, $10,000 or $12,000 a month on electricity. In the summer, there have actually been months where we sold power back to the grid. So, it was a little bit surprising to me going through that exercise. A couple of years ago or a year ago, I was able to say that, everything that we did here was powered by solar, but we've since expanded a little bit. So now I'll say that, our entire plant operation is powered by solar, and maybe we'll look into expanding that solar array, but it's definitely, a pure example of the business case for sustainability. The other thing that we've done is looked at our manufacturing waste. And it's a little bit hard to describe if you're not familiar with soft plastic injection molding or really any kind of injection molding. But we inject the plastic, there's a giant mold with a lot of different cavities, and the material flows through a series of runners into each cavity. So you're left with plastic that fills up those runners. And, about 10% of our baits get rejected for quality reasons. And it just made me really uncomfortable that material was going back in the landfill. It was 100% non-toxic. So, there's worse things you could put in a landfill, but we're talking about over 100,000 pounds of waste in a year. So we really drilled down and found ways that we could grind our waste and use the regrind material and incorporate it with virgin plastic to make a new product, or use it for flushing out our machines if we're changing colors. In the end, probably about 15 to 25% of our waste material is reused. and ends up, in product that we sell. And that's pretty good. That's better than 0%, right? And then, so what do we do with the other, 75 to 85%? Well, it's taken a while, a lot of headaches, but, eventually we found a recycler that would take the material and they incorporate it in shoe soles. So, those are two examples, solar power and, how we handle our manufacturing waste, where, focus on sustainability has really helped our bottom line. And, the other thing I'd add too is, at the end of the day, I mean, what our end customers care about is a lot of the social causes that we support, right? Like things like Captains for Clean Water, or, whether it's something like that, or local CCA chapters, or Release Over 20, that's a local nonprofit. And, the more profitable our business is, the more we're able to contribute to those causes. And, so that's where it really comes full circle, I think.
Well, I love the sound of solar powered non-toxic fishing lures. That has a nice ring to it. But
yeah, it's pretty cool that we're harnessing the power of the sun to make non-toxic, durable fishing lures.
Yeah, which is cool. And I also love that, I think that people get caught up in sustainability, and I think it's really important for everyone on this call to understand it's just about trying to do better. And I love the fact that Z-Man is saying, hey, we're sending a lot of waste to the landfill. It may be non-toxic, but what can we do? And it's just about becoming a better brand and a better steward of the environment that we're all a part of. So I appreciate what y'all are doing. So I do want to be somewhat cognizant of time and leave a little bit of time for some Q&A here, but I have a couple more questions we'll try and get through. So Daniel, I'm going to go back to you just to mix it up. But has Z-Man faced any challenges related to sustainability as a brand that you'd be willing to share with us?
Yeah, absolutely. Probably a lot more challenges than successes, because we're always looking for ways to do things better. And, in some cases, you just hit dead ends. Things like packaging, listening to, Lisa talk about sustainable packaging, it makes me jealous, because that's something that I wish we could do. But, the nature of our product, our soft plastic material, I mean, we've looked into, some kind of biodegradable packaging, and, just hit dead ends. I mean, it's just not compatible with our material, doesn't protect our material. It might react with our material. And in other cases, we do sell a number of other types of lures and jig heads and hooks and things like that. And, it's really a matter of, how the product presents at retail, and safety, when you're dealing with hooks and things like that. So that's something that we really haven't been able to solve. In terms of one of the biggest challenges that we faced is with our waste that I was just talking about. Though, I mean, it really took 5 years to find a home for that. And we went through a process of, sending the waste to the landfill. We found a recycler, and then a year later we found out that they were incinerating our waste for cement production, which is actually worse than putting it in a landfill. So it went back to the landfill. And so I mean, you deal with all these challenges, and it can get frustrating. So my one takeaway from that is, just to be persistent and to keep on trying, especially if it's something that you're passionate about.
Yeah,
Rick, can I jump in for a second? My name's Brandon. I'm actually with Walmart. I wanted to reach out to Dan. Dan, I'm not sure if you're coming to town next month to see us, or if you're facilitating through Folsom, but I would love to connect with you around your bag. I was at the ASA Sustainability Summit here a few months back, I guess. Yep. And we have done a lot of things on our private brand for sustainable bags. So I'd love to connect with you. I understand what you're saying. Your plastics with the stretch are a little bit different components with the plasticides and things versus probably what we have in our private brand, and that may be your challenges. But we may have options for you. So I'd love to connect around that when you're here for line reviews, because we may have some options for you.
Absolutely. Thank you, Brandon. Awesome. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah, no problem. sorry, Rick, I just wanted to let Dan know that there may be sustainable options in fishing bait bags.
Hey, look, if nothing else comes out of this is fantastic, right? So
Could be huge.
this takes a village. So
Yeah,
so
yeah,
thanks
no,
for
that's awesome. And I see John's on the call. He was aware of those bags as well. He's reached out. So this is exciting time for just fishing bait, soft plastic bags. And so I'd love to just share what we've done and maybe find a solution for you and some other national brands from what we've done. So thanks for letting me hop in. Dan, look forward to seeing you here in a few weeks.
Yep. Likewise. Thanks, Brandon.
You bet.
All right, thank you. All right, so similar question, Chelsea. What about some challenges AFTCO is facing on the sustainability front?
Yeah, I think everyone can relate to how challenging some of this stuff can be and frustrating because it feels like you take one step forward, two steps back. And we were so excited to get started. When we were learning about things that we were doing that could be improved, we hit the ground running and we set really high goals for ourselves. And yeah, like I said, it was frustrating. Things were really difficult. One example, I know a lot of you have touched on packaging. We try to completely eliminate all plastic packaging. And I think 2 years was our goal. And we didn't consider some of the challenges that came with that. Um, Examples of lighter colored shirts getting stains on them and then we tried roll packing, and that's still our primary form of packaging for apparel. But we had some retailers complain about wrinkling in our shirts, and there's just a lot of things that we didn't consider initially. So, in the meantime, though, we did decide to purchase a baler for our warehouse. So, while we were kind of trying to work the kinks out, we were like, at a minimum, we can start baling the plastic that is coming into our warehouse and recycle that. And that gave us a little more time while we worked out the kinks. And we've kind of learned that making smaller, more thoughtful changes will have a more lasting effect than trying to bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah, and I think that's important for everyone on listening in too, is that right? Sustainability is not a flip the switch solution. This is a journey. It is a process. It takes time. It takes successes. It takes failures. But it's all in an effort to try and do better. So I appreciate you sharing those insights, Chelsea. Lisa, YETI challenges with sustainability, I'm sure are also numerous, but would love to get your take on this also.
I got a little short list here I can go over with you. So if we look at our scope 3 emissions, which is our biggest, right? Our number one contributor is raw materials. And so I would say one of our biggest challenges is just like the pace of innovation in the material space. So I mentioned this before, but like there's non-negotiables for us in terms of durability, performance, like ice retention, the quality. Like we're not willing to sacrifice on those things. And so across the board, like not every material in our products has today a suitable alternative available to us to just switch to, right? And so I think the same is true if you think about the infrastructure needed to make some of the changes, like on the waste side that Daniel and Chelsea were alluding to. So I think just like keeping pace with the innovation and having market ready, available alternatives there for us to like select and incorporate and bring into our business model. That's a challenge. It's not a challenge that we can solve alone either. And so I think this is where like collaboration comes into play. Switching gears a little bit, another challenge I'll touch on that probably Chelsea you're going to chuckle at, but like not a sexy one at all, but keeping pace with the quality and the caliber of data needed and like balancing that with the ever-growing reporting needs. So like doing the work and then having to like compile all of this data and report against it, like the balance between those two things with a small and mighty team is another challenge. Like there's so much we want to do, and sometimes we have to slow how much we can do that so we can do the admin work and the reporting, which is equally as important, but it is a little bit challenging, right? And then the last one I'll touch on is just influence. I said like we can't do a lot of this our own. Unlike Daniel, we don't own our own manufacturing, so we rely heavily on partners, right? And so that requires influence. And for us to hit our targets and our goals, like they all across our supply chain, we need everyone to be bought into this and to be making changes and to driving progress. And, you know, namely our suppliers. And that requires us to, make the business case for them too. Not all of them are on the same page with their level of ambition and urgency here. So influence is another challenge, I would say.
Yeah, I'm a sustainability nerd, so I saw a meme that was like sustainability people are like just doing nothing but reporting. It's like I forgot to do my sustainability work because I was pulling data and doing reporting. So yeah, I feel your pain. But so all right, we've got 10 minutes. Let me just I'm gonna do a rapid fire to all of y'all. One piece of advice that you would give to another brand, and then we'll open it up for Q&A. So we'll go back to the original lineup. Chelsea, is there a piece of sustainability advice you would give to another brand?
Yes, I would say set goals for yourself, but understand that those goals are a moving target and make sure you prioritize what's important and stay true to your brand. Like we prioritize high quality, long lasting products similar to YETI, and we feel like we're successful at making products if we do that and reduce our environmental footprint in the process. And so just kind of stay true to what your brand means and try not to get discouraged by the challenges.
I can attest to that. I have a pair of AFTCOs that I've had since college that I still wear, surprisingly still fit. But yeah, durability, nice. Lisa, same question. Piece of advice you'd give to another brand?
I would say like look for and accept help. And that can be in terms of like tools, best practices, feedback. Like we're members of a number of different trade associations, which help us like collaborate across industry to help, scale some of the progress and the change that we're trying to implement. But also it helps you keep tabs on like what's going on out there. It helps hold you accountable yourselves. And like tapping into those networks along with other experts like you, Rick, and your team and et cetera. Like that's all super helpful. Like don't try to do this by yourself in a silo somewhere in a conference room. Like you're never going, and we all need each other. We all need to learn from each other. Like Chelsea said, the moving target, that includes like the solutions that we're trying to solve for. They're also constantly changing, right? And so it's so dynamic. We're facing so many new challenges each day. We're learning so much more each day. And so it's like, use that help and seek out that help and that advice.
Excellent. And Daniel, piece of advice for anyone out there?
Yeah, I'd say to focus on the areas where you can make the most meaningful impact, right? There's a million different things that we can do. I mean, and what do you care about most? What's most meaningful, the most meaningful contribution that you can make from, an environmental standpoint, what's most important to your customers and what's most important to your bottom line. I think those are the kind of the questions that you need to ask yourself.
Yeah. I love it. Well, I don't want to spend too much time saying thank you to everyone because I want to open this up to Q&A, but thank you all so much for answering all those questions and sharing your insights. Super helpful.
Yeah, agreed. Tons of great insights there from a diverse set of perspectives, which I think is really important here for folks in the industry who may not, hear one anecdote or see one example of how a certain business is doing things and think, well, that doesn't really apply to us. But sustainability can take so many different forms. It doesn't have to be going full speed from the outset, wholesale change in your operation. I think there's specific projects that you can take on in the early going. And Rick, you've covered a lot of that, both in our sustainability toolkit and in these webinars that, it can mean a lot of different things. And companies can emphasize the benefits in different ways. In a lot of ways, you'll internally see the benefit in terms of your bottom line, but getting marketing teams involved and getting your suppliers involved, there's a lot of different forms that this can take. And hopefully, with Rick's help, we've been able to provide some guidance, and with our panelists today here, some guidance on some different ideas and ways to make it work, and some lessons learned along the way. So, as Rick mentioned, we've got a few minutes left here. Would open it up for questions if folks might have any. Again, you can either do the raise hand thing, type a question in the chat, and we can get the questions asked and answered. Maybe everyone's frantically trying to get a hold of Brandon on the sustainable packaging stuff. I remember being there at Summit, the sustainability committee meeting, and being pretty wowed at a lot of the work Walmart's doing there. So really cool stuff.
Yeah, and I'll have to say, my hats off to Walmart also. I work with other clients that are selling products to Walmart, and I can't emphasize enough what they have done to drive sustainability that would not have otherwise happened if they would not have asked and maybe requiring now a lot of companies to get on board and start measuring their sustainability performance. So thank you all for what you do there.
Yeah, happy to help and happy to be a part of this program with ASA to help be leaders in this across the board for the industry. So happy to help. If anybody has questions from us, I'll do my best to connect you with the right people to answer anything around what we do for sustainability and Project Gigaton.
All right, last call for questions. Okay, hearing none. Well, thanks, Rick. Thanks to the panel. Rick, I guess I'll turn back to you, see if you got any parting words before we close out.
Yeah, I will take this opportunity to thank Daniel, Lisa, Chelsea, for again sharing your insights. I think it's really important for everyone to understand that this is not a flip the switch deal. Everyone faces challenges, but there are opportunities with sustainability that can help to grow your business. Special thanks to American Sport Fishing Association, Mike and the team, Rob, for providing me with this opportunity to talk sustainability with your membership. It means a lot to me personally, and I have thoroughly enjoyed this. So I hope everyone has a good day. If you'll have any questions related to sustainability, I'm happy to answer them. Just visit my website, emergerstrategies.com. And don't forget to check out the ASA Sustainability Toolkit available on the ASA website. Lots of tools, resources, links to those tools. So take advantage of it. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Rick. Thanks to all the panelists, and everyone have a great rest of your week. Bye.